Good evening. Y buenas noches a todos mis amigos y amigas latinas y latinos. So good to have you here. Great job representing. All right. It gives me, honestly, so much pleasure to be here tonight to introduce my friend and co-anchor, David Ono, and to have the microphone to myself for a change. No hogging the reeds tonight, David. I get 2 full, uninterrupted minutes to roast you, honor you. But before we get to that, let's take a look back at David's incredible 30-year career.
This is ABC7 Los Angeles. Now, David Ono.
Their nightmare began here in this driveway on a Sunday evening.
6 in the morning, day 1 of SWAT school.
Fire!
Go.
All right, good job.
Belize is filled with thousands of miles of unguarded jungle, making it easy for drug traffickers to move their product into this country from Guatemala, eventually pushing it into Mexico, completely undetected.
Hello? Anybody in?
That red tape denotes a body has been found, so what they'll do is mark it with that red tape and also put a GPS marker on there. Eventually, a hazmat team will come by and pick the body up.
We arrived to the hospital with Jake Wood's team, delivering patients who are in dire need of surgery, including a young boy who has a horribly broken leg. So are you ready to endorse same-sex marriage?
I believe in the notion that everybody should be treated equally and fairly in this society.
What is it about a photograph that draws us in? A frozen moment that allows us to immerse ourselves in that split second. We can study it, live it, feel it. In 2012, I traveled with Nick to a village in Vietnam called Trang Bang. He tells me the story of what happened here, June 8th, 1972.
This huge ship has become an iconic image here in Casanuma. It shows the sheer power of a tsunami lifting this enormous vessel up and dropping it in the middle of land. Oh, we got white smoke. We have a boat. Do you worry about people not coming back because of this, or always identifying your marathon with this tragedy?
No, I think there's rebuilding that we have to do, and we'll do.
This intersection is particularly tragic. Friday night, a gunman stormed into this restaurant first, Le Carrillo, started shooting innocent people just out enjoying themselves on a Friday night. He then crossed the street right over here. This was a Cambodian restaurant where he began doing the same thing.
So many people here are finding out the terrible news about the assassination of their beloved former Prime Minister, Abe.
What's growing on top of all of this lava, and that's this. It's a moss. Look how soft and comfortable and beautiful it is, as far as the eye can see.
This is Kaufring Camp number 7.
Helga has lived just blocks from this camp, yet never was taught what it was.
This can't be in our neighborhood, and you'd never hear anything about it.
The term Nisei means second generation, sons and daughters of immigrants, but born in America. And it was the young men from this generation that gave us the greatest fighting unit in American military history for their size and length of service.
We need to build with knowledge and patience, and we need to do it together, safer than it was before. And that is how we heal. SoCal Strong.
56 years ago, the very first Pride Parade was a breakthrough event, the culmination of rage, courage, and a desperate fight for equality. We call this episode of Facism Pride.
Impressive, right? He loves to see himself on camera. We all know David is the hardest working journalist in the world. Kind of like, the guy in that commercial, the one, the most interesting man in the world, pausing momentarily to enjoy a Dos Equis beer. Except David never pauses. He never stops. He tells everyone every day how hard he works. And it's true, he does work hard. I think that's all he does. He talks about working out sometimes, but that's doubtful. Look at him. If he's not researching, writing, or flying around the world chasing down hidden stories, He's delivering hour-long keynote speeches, emceeing for nonprofits he believes in, or having dinner with Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. And his journalistic timing is uncanny. The one time he was on vacation in Hawaii, the one time, that's when Maui's deadly firestorm erupted. He jumped in to cover it without hesitation. The year before, he was on a flight to Japan when word broke of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's assassination. His landing was timed perfectly for a boots-on-the-ground report for ABC 7. But covering the news hasn't been enough for David. He took his talents to the stage, producing the powerful and moving show Defining Courage, a tribute to his tireless work uncovering the untold stories of Japanese American and Nisei soldiers in World War II. If you haven't seen it, you should. Now, if you don't know David, you might think he's a serious guy. Despite the resting scowl face, somewhere deep down, he's having the time of his life, showing off his writing skills and flexing his critical thinking and building rapport with anyone he might one day circle back to as a source. Is there any question he's the hardest working man in the world? Look, I don't need to tell you how great David is at what he does. It's evident in every project he touches, I'll admit that. His storytelling is smooth, almost soothing, even when he's recounting heartbreaking loss. And then there are all the Emmys, the Golden Mikes, the Murrow and Peabody Awards he's collected along the way. The truth is, and this is the truth, he's earned every one of those, and tonight's Governor's Award as well. David's endless curiosity, stamina, and drive to uncover the next hidden chapter of history, past or present, is why he's always working, always taking on something new. He can't help himself. His default mode is work. Writing, creating, discovering, and packaging it all in the most compelling way possible. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the incomparable David Ono to the stage.
Thank you, Giovanna. It's nothing like growing old in front of everybody in like 30 seconds. It's watching. I remember my first day at the station. Oh my God. That old Prospect lot. I don't know if you guys realize it, that's where they shot General Hospital. So I walk into my brand new news director's office and said, "Oh my God, you have a hospital here." And she's like, "That's a facade, it's General Hospital." You know, so I have so many memories, and that seems like that was just yesterday. But I'll tell you about yesterday. I thought I wasn't going to make it today because I was running through an airport in Salt Lake City. I was in Wyoming, and this is kind of going to just reinforce what Joanna said. We're in Wyoming. We go to Montana. We catch a flight in Montana. It's delayed. We have to get to Salt Lake City in order to catch our flight to LA because they said if we didn't, we're going to not be able to take a flight until today. So I thought that's too risky. I have a whole crew with me, 12 people. We'd just done a show, that stage show that Giovanna was talking about, in Cody, Wyoming, and it's about the Nisei soldier. But I'm running through this airport in Salt Lake City as fast as I could. In front of me is this wonderful vocalist, Josh, Dylan, my photographer, right over here. Behind me is Daniel Ho, 6-time Grammy Award winner, and his wife, Lydia. And then a whole choir behind them, and we are huffing and puffing. If you've never run in Salt Lake City, it's at altitude, so you are suffering. We finally get to the gate, we make our flight, we're about to throw up, and I'm thinking, isn't this great? This is such an amazing experience, and I feel like that's what we all should feel about what we do because of the opportunities that we're given in this job. The reason I'm telling you this experience, it's a metaphor for, I believe, what my career has been, but it's actually a metaphor for all of us have to deal with in this career. The stage show is called Defining Courage. As Giovanna explained, it is about the Nisei soldier. It's the greatest fighting unit in American military history. But nobody knows about them, and they're not in our history books. And I'm sure you know about them as well, because I've seen your many wonderful stories that you have done on them. But if you go into the United States, nobody knows about them. And so this show is an amalgamation of efforts. It started as a speech where I flew people to the battlefields via video, the beautiful video that Dylan shoots. And then I decided to put this speech to some music, and I enlisted the help of these professional musicians. And then the speech was a hit, and it just expanded into a show. And this show we've done all over America, including the Kennedy Center and Palace of Fine Arts and the Historic Hawaii Theater and Segerstrom down in Orange County, and beautiful, beautiful places. But the goal of this story is not so much to teach somebody about a chapter in history. It's more about to talk about what's sorely missing in our world today, and that is courage. You look at what's happening in Washington, you all know what I mean. There's just not enough courage in our world. So these young men who fought during World War II, and they did so while their families are incarcerated in these concentration camps, but they knew what the right thing to do was, and that was to fight for the American way. It was to stand up for what was right. And in that is a beautiful lesson in today's world. So I felt by telling that story, but put it in a way that's digestible, with music, with these beautiful performers like Daniel, who can compose, and he could play the guitar and the ukulele. In Wyoming, we had to strip the show down. We usually travel with a full choir and a full orchestra, but we had to strip it down because it's so hard to get to. And Daniel played the drums, he played the guitar, he played the ukulele. And it was amazing. And these talented people helped me tell a story. I just sit there and I talk. Dylan's beautiful video helps deliver the message along with Daniel and all these incredible singers. And together we have created something that is journalistic, but it's different, it's unique. And the reason why I want to tell you about that is because this is what I've learned in the industry. You know, I hate doing things just like everybody else. I strive to do it differently, and I know you all can relate to this. And what I love is I have a team, and I have a news director, and I have a general manager that accepts my ideas, even though they're probably going to fail, but they give me the leeway to fail. If you're a manager out there, I beg you to believe in the people that work for you and allow them to try new things, allow them to gamble, allow them to fail, because someday they will succeed, and their success is going to be yours. We work in an industry, and this is no secret, we work in an industry that is collapsing, right? But in that, there is opportunity. As our industry fails or changes or evolves, probably failing is not the right word, but it evolves, we have to evolve with it. And in that, as we come up with new ideas, those innovations are the next great thing. And the only reason why we're able to do that is because our industry is changing so quickly. So as we evolve, as we change, as we come up with these new ideas, there is opportunity for you to dive into what your mind and your heart tell you and to create. I've been given that opportunity, and I thrive because of that, but I can only imagine if I lived in a world that didn't let me do that. What if I was in this industry in the 80s and they said, that's not the way we do things? Well, that's a dinosaur's perspective. If you ever hear anybody say, that's not the way we do it, that person is not long for this world or this industry. We have to all open our eyes to possibilities. And you've already heard me talk about it. The next thing besides innovation is collaboration. You find the most talented people who can make your ideas work. And that's why I've reached out to Dylan, and that's why I've reached out to Daniel. I've reached out to so many people. Because there's only so far you can go by yourself. But as you develop these ideas and you find people who can support you and believe in you, and more importantly, believe in the story that you're trying to tell, then your story is lifted up. Most importantly, don't lose track of the value of what you do. And I think that is really important as we sit there and we hear about layoffs and we hear about our shrinking audience, we hear about people consuming news in a different way. But I unapologetically say that it's not so much about ratings and Emmys, even though I know those are important, otherwise this room would not be full today. Emmys are important. The ratings are important. We have to make a living doing what we do. But I think there's another layer of what we do. So Thursday night, we did our show in Cody, Wyoming, the reddest state in America, to talk about these Asian soldiers, these heroes. And in Cody, just 15 minutes outside of town, is Heart Mountain. If you're familiar with the Japanese-American story from World War II, Heart Mountain is one of the 10 concentration camps. 14,000 people were held there. Innocent people where they lost everything, and they stood there, they stayed there behind barbed wire for 4 years. I actually have no connection to that story. I'm Japanese-American, yes, but my family's from Japan. My whole crew, a dozen people, they don't have a connection to that either. But every time I go there, you feel the spirituality. You feel the sense of what came before you. And I wanted them to experience that. So we got a van. We drove the whole crew, the choir, the director, the photographer. And as I expected, they started to cry. Because what we do is much more subliminal. It's much more human. And I feel to tell a great story, you have to feel somebody's pain. You feel their pain, you could tell their story. You tell their story, then you connect that person with the people who don't know them from anybody. And suddenly, this very human thing becomes much bigger. And I think that's really a powerful thing that we're all capable of, and we see it every day. And as we go through the Emmys right here, and we see all these incredible works, that's what you're doing. And sometimes I worry it's easy to forget that we all have that incredible ability to change people's lives, because we get so caught up in the daily thing. We don't give ourselves enough credit, nor do we push ourselves hard enough to do what we're capable of doing. I think there's a real power in that. It's a powerful thing. Most importantly, as we gather here today, I see you guys once a year at the Emmys. I just want you to know that when I watch what you do, and it's already been brought up once before tonight, and that is we are not competitors. We're supporters of each other. I've lost so many more times than I've won, and losing is not the right word. But when I see the winner of a category that I might be in, I'm always blown away by that person's creativity. And for a split second there, I'm suddenly a better reporter because of that, because I've learned something. So I feel like as we all gather here, I say, I'm super proud to receive this Emmy, this Governor's Award. But I also say thank you because it's because of you and what I've learned from each of you that has made me a better journalist, a better storyteller. So as we go forward, I hope we all can innovate in a way that goes far beyond what we think our reach is, far beyond what we think our ability is. I'm doing a musical. I hate musicals. And yet I'm doing one. And it's been the most moving and rewarding thing in my life, and I'm still trying to figure out what's next. And there are a lot of ideas that are brewing, and I think you guys could do the same thing, but don't do a stage show. It's so freaking hard, let me just tell you that. However, you know what I'm saying. Push yourself. Drive yourself. If you have a little seed of an idea, develop it. Don't doubt yourself, because if you could see it, you can make it happen. And that's what I've learned from you. Thank you.